Ladies and gentlemen, how are you? My name is Jean Damascene Habiyambere. I am a teacher of literature and English. Today, we are going to study epic poetry, one among genres of poetry. An epic poetry is a long narrative poem told in dignified language, celebrating the actions of a hero. It gives a series of heroic deeds and events significant to a culture or a nation. The epic poems seem to be the written version of stories that were told and sung. It is considered as a specific form of writing. Most epics or most epic poems tell a tale or story of a particular tribe. The first audiences for the epic poems were listeners, the later ones leaders. Epic poems carried important cultural truths, but they were not history. Epic poems were detailed narratives describing cultural practices, for example, fighting and hunting and feasting, and the barriers and the sacrifices, all very real and vivid. A prominent example of Rwandan epic poem is Ibitekerezo, a form of oral poetry performed at the royal court in pre-colonial Rwanda. It recounts historical events, praises kings, and celebrates cows, a significant aspect of Rwandan society. An epic poem is a long narrative poem that typically tells a story of heroic deeds and adventures, often with a focus on a hero or a group of heroes who are of great importance to a culture or nation. For example, Ibitekerezo. Its origin. Ibitekerezo is a form of epic hero poetry that was performed at the royal court in pre-colonial Rwanda. The name Ibitekerezo comes from the Kinyarwanda verb gutekereza, which means to recount or reflect or consider. The content of Ibitekerezo. Ibitekerezo includes songs praising kings, recounting historical events, and celebrating cows, which were highly valued in Rwandan culture. Ibitekerezo were performed by count poets and were a significant part of Rwandan cultural life. That is why an epic poem is a long narrative poem that typically tells a story of heroic deeds and adventures, often with a focus on a hero or a group of heroes who are of great importance to a culture or nation. These poems are often written in a formal, elevated style and explore themes of courage, royalty, and the fate of individuals and nations. Now let us speak on characteristics of epic poems, where we're going to see or to check the features of epic poems. The features of epic poems are many. Among them, we have length and narrative. Epic poems are known for their length and their focus on telling story. The hero is also called omniscient narrator. He has total knowledge of what happens or will happen to other characters in the epic. The second feature is heroic figure. The hero is a figure of great national or even cosmic importance and represent a character's heroic ideal, which means heroes with special powers. They often center on a hero or a group of heroes whose actions are of great significance. The other feature of epic poem is elevated style. The language and style of epic poetry are often formal and grand. They are written in verse style. There is also use of enumeration, which means an action of mentioning things one by one. The other feature of epic poetry, supernatural elements. Many epics include gods, monsters, or other supernatural beings adding to grand scale of the history. The other feature of epic poetry is overhuman characters. The heroes in epics are often portrayed as larger than life figures, possessing great strength, courage, and other admirable qualities. The action is made of heroic deeds such as great courage, honors, sacrifice, patriotism, and kindness. We have the other feature of epic poem, which is called character importance. The character importance is the stories and the characters in epic poems often reflect the values and the beliefs of a particular character. Divine intervention or supernatural forces such as gods, angels, demons intervene. Invocation, where the act of calling the assistance or presence of superior beings is also manifested. The other feature is setting of the poem, where the events took place when the heroic deeds happened, but chronologically through linear plot. The other is heavy repetition, which is found in epic poems. Poetic devices in epic poems such as repetition, personification, articulation, hyperbole, assonance, similes, metaphors, rhyme or rhythm, synecdoche, consonants, and so on. An epic poetry is a length narrative poem typically about the extraordinary deeds of extraordinary characters who, in dealings with gods or other supernatural forces or superhuman forces, gave shape to the mortal universe for their descendants. With regard to oral tradition, epic poems consist of formal speech and are usually learnt word for word, and then contrasted with narratives that consist of everyday speech, where the performer has the license to recontextualize the history or the story to a particular audience, often to a younger generation. Let us stop here by asking everyone to make subscribe and gives like and comment if he or she has an idea or suggestion or the other aid to us. Thank you. Be blessed for everyone.